you're taking snapshots of everything I'm doing on my computer. So if I am logging into my bank account, there's screenshots now of my bank account on my hard drive.
If someone compromises your computer, it's not just like they have your data. They have everything you've ever done.
The Steam Deck kind of brings that itch back where it's just like, oh, I wonder if that'll work on the Steam Deck. I wonder if I can tweak the settings to get the most frame rate out of it. Oh, okay, I did all that. All right, cool. I'm going to go play that on my desktop PC now. Silent Hill 2 is like, it's my favorite game of all time, but not only that, it's one of my favorite stories. Like, it's one of my favorite pieces of media of all time. Hello and welcome to Crowbar Kernel Panic, your favorite tech, gaming, and Linux podcast. This episode was pre-recorded, but will be released on YouTube, iTunes, and podcast platforms. Please like, rate, review, comment, subscribe on whichever platform you prefer to listen or view the show. This episode, we're going to be talking about Josh got a new Steam Deck. Yay!
Finally, like I should have had one from the beginning.
And it's the OLED, right?
Yeah, it's the OLED. Yeah.
Hey, all right. So we're going to talk about that. The Microsoft recall drama and situation. Debacle. Perfect word for it. We're also going to be talking about a future art project that, because of this Microsoft recall situation, we came up with an idea for the show. So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, I just want to talk about how much I love the new Silent Hill 2 remake. It is fantastic. And I'm going to spend the last half of the show talking about how much I love it and love the game. But we're also going to read some negative reviews. So we'll go
negative reviews.
Yeah,
Games
I found
don't
one.
Get negative reviews. What are you?
I found the lowest review on Metacritic, and we're going to read it and discuss it a little bit. I'm not going to like flame the guy, but he's definitely wrong. The game is very good. But first up, Josh has got a new Steam Deck. So how are you loving it? You think it's a honeymoon phase, or do you think this has changed your gaming experience forever?
No, dude, this is like I should have gotten one of these. I should have pre-ordered one of these OLED ones. That's how much I'm enjoying this experience. Like, man, it is freaking crazy. I haven't had this good of a Linux gaming experience ever.
Really?
I've tried so many different distros. I mean, everyone knows that listens. I've tried everything under the sun, and I've never gotten every one of my games to work. This Steam Deck plays every single one of my games. I haven't had one on the list that doesn't work.
But it's kind of like me, where it's exactly like me. So both of us were already Linux gamers. Yeah. So the games we invested in already ran on Proton, So the device was made for people like us.
Kinda for me.
But you're right. You're right in the sense that like people, like I listen to podcasts that are not tech shows, not gaming shows, but the host just happened to get a Steam Deck. He's just a regular Joe Schmo, has a Windows computer on his desktop. And he talks about how he can play like, almost every game on it. And it's the best handheld device. And this is not one of us. He's not walking around with a penguin shirt and like just evangelizing Linux all day. He's just some guy. So, I mean, it really is a great device, and games really do run on it. Fantastic. And I think the OLED is such a huge improvement over the regular, because I've had both now, and the OLED is a huge improvement. If you're going for one today, you should definitely go for the OLED.
Yeah, I mean, because I played yours a little bit when I was visiting you down there, but
I still had the old one. Yeah.
You still had the old one. And I mean, it was all right, but like I wasn't that impressed. And I think that had to be like a combination between the screen wasn't really that great. Yeah. And not only that, but like I didn't have my library, so I wasn't able to play my games. So like, that kind of puts a little damper on the whole thing. But this is like a totally different system. Like this might as well have been the Steam Deck 2, in my opinion.
Because it's an improvement over, like, it improves the performance because it's not just a bigger screen or a better screen. It's also a screen that uses less power, causes less heat. The OLED has an improved heat sink and heating system. So and that fluctuates the performance, because the performance on the device, it has a system in it where it actually fluctuates its performance based on how it's having to cool itself. So it's a huge upgrade. If nothing else changes, that's a huge upgrade. It affects more than just the visual screen. But what games are you playing on it?
Oh man, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley, but
Oh, okay, yeah.
that
Well,
one
that'll
already works really good. So
yeah,
that one's not even like I've never had a problem with that game. But
yeah.
the one that I was amazed at because I have not gotten it to work on Linux ever was Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, I didn't know that. You told me you had
Like
it working on the Steam Deck, but I didn't realize you couldn't get it working on your desktop.
it installs, it starts up and it plays, but it does not, or it loads, but it does not get to the playing part of the game. Like you cannot play the game. It just sits on the
Wow.
loading screen forever. Like I actually let it sit here one time for like 2
Okay.
hours. Just
That's
wouldn't
crazy.
get past there.
Yeah.
And then I realized it like kind of froze in between there somehow. But yeah, like the first try, it worked flawlessly. I mean, yes, the graphics have to be set to low, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know what it is about the Steam Deck, but the low settings actually look
It's the
freaking
screen
good.
size. Yeah, it's the screen size. You don't need all the detail on that low resolution.
I guess, but holy crap, like I was blown away. I'm like, this can't be low settings. There's no freaking way.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
I've played, so I was telling you, I basically use mine for survival horror only, which, you know, I've said many times on the show, I play survival horror and I play MMOs, and it doesn't seem like a good MMO experience to play on the Steam Deck. I have seen some people say, like, I think ESO now advertises that it runs on the Steam Deck, but that just doesn't seem like the right experience to me. But yeah. I like it for survival horror because survival horror games usually are not very big, so they don't take up much space on the drive itself. And also, they're always single player, and so you don't have to worry about any kind of like network connection or playing with other players. Right. Plus, it's less competitive. So, like, if you're playing a competitive game and you're on a Steam Deck, you may feel like you're at a disadvantage. Using a controller in general puts you at a disadvantage to other players. So, you know, those just seem like the best games for it. And so far, I've played Broken Pieces. I recently played the new game. It's an indie title that came out, Hollow Body. And yeah, those types of games work great on the Steam Deck. And it's cool because you're playing this like old, you know, survival horror, especially whenever they're indie made. They're like have an old school vibe to them because it's all people that are just fans of this genre and want to make a game that is like an homage to some other old 2000s game. Right. And so, and playing it on a handheld just makes it feel more nostalgic. Like it's a perfect combination for that. Like, but Broken Pieces runs really well on the Steam Deck, and it's not like super intense graphically, but it's also not super optimized, so like it's a pretty good testament that it runs well on the Steam Deck. Yeah,
like seriously, like old school games just feel right. I don't know what it is about the Steam Deck.
I know.
It just feels right. I don't know if it's a screen size or the controller or how it is or what, but it's perfect.
I haven't done any emulation yet. I know that we talked about it several times that we were going to use the Steam Deck for some emulation and talk about it on the podcast. I still have yet to do that. But
that is on my list. That is definitely like the next thing I want to try to do with this thing. The one, well, I shouldn't say just the one game, but one of the games that I'm skeptical about, but I shouldn't really be, is the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That's the first Fallen Order. Fallen Order is the first in that series. I think Survivor is the second. I don't have that one. But the only reason I get worried about Fallen Order is because it's got to have that stupid EA crap because it's an EA game. And I've had it work on systems that I've installed, you know, just regular systems like Ubuntu, whatever. But I don't know, like I have a weird feeling about getting that EA stuff to work. And
have you looked it up on ProtonDB?
I did. I think it has a gold rating as far as I know. And like I said, I've had it work before, but
it'll probably work then.
But like things with the EA app just kind of they break sometimes because they update the EA app behind the scene, even if the game doesn't update, and it's just so stupid. I wish they just wouldn't deal with that. Oh, and that's another thing. I should mention this too, that Horizon Zero Dawn, they're pulling the PSN, PS Plus, whatever that, their PlayStation Store version. They're pulling that from Steam and they're going to re-upload it as only with the PlayStation Store you can get it, like almost like with the EA app where it downloads it in the background and you have to have that running to play the game.
Oh, wild.
They're going through all that. Luckily, I have the original one that doesn't require that, so I should be fine. But that's going to be another problem because I've never dealt with that PlayStation whatever before on Linux, so that could be a big issue going forward.
That's unusual. So if you buy it through Steam, it still has to have a PlayStation Store account.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
It's just, well, I don't know about the account because I think what happens is just like with Horizon Zero Dawn or whatever, or sorry, Jedi Fallen Order, you don't have to have an account. It just kind of links your Steam account to it, and it has like a stripped down version of the EA app that it runs in the background. It's really wonky.
But after you've done that, what you've done that with Jedi Fallen Order on Linux before outside of the Steam? Okay. And it works?
Yes. And it works. Yes. I've had it work.
I think
it'll work on the Steam Deck. I've also had it
then.
not work.
Oh, okay. I bet it'll work.
I have a good feeling that it's going to work. It's just like I said, anything with that third party crap, EA, whatever, you know, all that stuff. I
was astonished recently. This is not Steam Deck related, but I don't know how I like it. I don't know how I like the game, but I've been testing the waters on there's a MMO that just came out recently. It's like a Korean MMO that just came to the States, and it's Throne of crap.
Throne of crap.
Throne of Liberty.
Throne of Liberty. All right.
And that'll be everybody's title for it if the game's like really bad. It's called Throne of Crap. Throne of Liberty. I was like, there's no way this is going to work on my Linux PC. There's just probably some, anti-cheats or something. But according to ProtonDB, it has a gold rating. So I
don't know about that anti-cheat stuff. Like, it must be only certain anti-cheats because like Scrolls Online works flawlessly on any system I've ever installed it on. You just there's like a couple tweaks you gotta do to get that to work, but it works flawlessly. So like it must only be like BattleEye or something like that they're really strenuous on the Linux side.
Is it Throne and Liberty? I can't find it now on ProtonDB.
Oh no, it's gone.
Okay, yeah, it's Throne and Liberty. Okay. Yeah, it has a gold rating. It's not platinum, it's gold.
Yeah, but still, usually that's pretty good.
Yeah, usually that's still pretty good. But that wouldn't be the type of game I would try on a Steam Deck. But yeah, man, I'm glad you got one. We could test all kinds of stuff now on the Steam Deck and use that as part of our comparison and stuff.
Having all of the stats being right at your fingertips, like you can just turn them on and off. Like that's freaking awesome. Like,
yeah,
I remember back in the day where it took like at least 15 minutes to half an hour to get all that stuff set up the way you want it, and freaking Steam Deck just has it. That's amazing.
I still feel like I don't use mine enough. I've used it whenever I went on vacation. Yeah, I don't feel like I use it enough. I love it. It's one of those things where it's like I love it. I'm glad I have it. I see it, but I more like it for testing things for the podcast. When it comes to actually using it as a consumer, I just don't use handhelds often. It's like the best handheld out there. I just don't know that I've got enough use cases for a handheld. I don't know. Maybe I need to. I need to find excuses to use it more.
Right. I understand exactly where you're coming from because I haven't really dove into a AAA game or whatever, like actually playing it, not just testing it to make sure it works.
Yeah.
I kind of sort of played Horizon Forbidden West for like half an hour to an hour or so the first time I installed it to make sure everything was working and all that, but I really didn't get into it. So I kind of know what you're talking about there. I've been mostly playing like the 2D games and stuff like that, like Stardew Valley and whatnot.
I know what you mean because it's when we first started doing this podcast, I remember we talked about how like when it comes to Linux gaming, a lot of times we're more interested in getting the game to work and getting it to work as well as possible. And then we're kind of like done and move on to the next one. Where the Steam Deck kind of brings that itch back where it's just like, oh, I wonder if that'll work on the Steam Deck. I wonder if I can tweak the settings to get the most frame rate out of it. Oh, okay, I did all that. All right, cool. I'm going to go play that on my desktop PC now. I'll tell you some games that I really like for the Steam Deck though. So one is a game. So this is going to be kind of rapid fire. Listeners at home, if you have a Steam Deck, you can listen to these recommendations. Rapid fire, all right? One is a game called Ashen. Ashen is like an open world Souls-like game. It's a single player and it's that type of game, but it works great on the Steam Deck. I got it whenever my wife and I went to New York and I didn't have any internet connection or anything. So I needed something that was single player that I could play on the Steam Deck. And I played it every night we were in the hotel and the game was great. I got home, I installed it on my desktop and I said, I would rather play this on the Steam Deck. So this is a case of the game is actually much better handheld. I feel like it's just the UI and everything. It just seems like it's really made for handheld. So Ashen, scrolling through, I talked about Broken Pieces. Runs great on the Steam Deck. It's a survival horror game. Oh, this is one I think you would like. I've talked to you about it before, but you've not taken my advice yet. Chained Echoes.
Oh, yes.
Chained Echoes. I only play it on the Steam Deck. It's great on the Steam Deck. It is a Steam Deck game. Yeah, definitely check that one out. It's up your alley. One that I've played on the Steam Deck this is a long title. Dr. Langaskov, the Tiger, and the Terribly Cursed Emerald. It's free on Steam. It's a short game. It's an amazing game. It's a Valve. It's not a Valve game, but it's made on the Valve engine, and it's good on the Steam Deck. Lake Haven. It's a demo, free demo, great little demo. The game, I hope it comes out one day. Hollow Body, I mentioned that one. Works great on the Steam Deck. Let's see. I haven't played Left 4 Dead on the Steam Deck. I imagine it works.
Ooh,
but you have the whole connection thing, because it requires a network connection. But I imagine it works. The medium.
Left 4 Dead is good.
I tried to play Pelly. It didn't work.
Oh, that's one that didn't work.
Yeah.
Was that you think that was a anti-cheat situation or just didn't install?
I think it didn't install. I don't remember now. I just remember I tried it and it didn't work. But yeah, I'm scrolling through now.
That's it. Steam Deck's crap. It's all over. One game didn't
all
work.
over one game. There's a game called Virginia. I can't remember if that worked on the Steam Deck or not. It seems like it would. But anyway, yeah, it's great the way it tells you if something has been tested to work on a Steam Deck or not. And you and I were talking before the show, the things that are untested, you should probably check Proton DB before you go buying something. But
yeah,
your chances are pretty high that it'll work.
And the good thing about Steam is that you do have 2 hours to return it. So if it doesn't work in that first hour and a half, just return it. It's
Yeah, that's definitely true. Great device, man.
Yeah. And crazy story though. Literally the first night I have it. So a little bit backstory before I tell the real story. So I have this game called Prehistoric Hunt. Everyone knows I talk about it, yada yada, whatever.
Yeah. And it's got dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, it's got dinosaurs, all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I remember we thought about it last week.
Yep. So somehow when it linked my Steam account to its servers and all that stuff, it somehow linked my Tailscale IP to it. Because I have Tailscale running on my desktop.
Yeah, but how?
Don't ask me. I have I really don't know. I don't know. But it will not work if I don't have Tailscale on.
That's
it will.
Is it a region thing? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's
no. Tailscale is it's my personal VPN. I run it.
Yeah, but is there some sort of region setting in your VPN that you've got set you don't realize?
I don't know if there is region settings in that one.
I don't know. I've never used Tailscale, so I don't know.
Well, it's basically it runs on my server here. And I connect to my server.
It's a self-hosted VPN.
Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, somehow it got connected to that. So I had to, before I could play that game, install Tailscale on the Steam Deck. Now you think that's going to be easy, but it's not.
I wouldn't have thought it would be easy.
You have to pull it down from Git. You have to freaking make it, make the freaking Git file and all that stuff. It was a nightmare. I thought I broke the Steam Deck because after I installed it, I rebooted it and it just kind of hung there on this updating screen. But I guess the Wi-Fi didn't connect right and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh, freaking A, what the heck did I do now?
Yeah.
But all I had to do was hook it up to Ethernet and it worked fine. It just got past that updating thing and now it's been working ever since.
That's funny. So the Steam Deck is a PC. It's a handheld PC.
Yeah.
But so far, I've not been brave enough to try anything outside the ordinary on it. I've not installed a custom OS. I haven't installed a custom Glorious Egg Roll Proton or anything like that.
I haven't done that either. I haven't done the Glorious Egg Roll because I haven't needed to yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, dude, Proton is so tailored for the Steam Deck that...
Yeah, I know.
For one, I don't feel the need to. And for two, I'm sure that there's a way to factory get your system back. But I don't.
Yeah.
I want to watch that process on YouTube before I install a custom OS.
Yeah, I know what you mean there.
It seems too risky. It seems too risky.
But yeah, so Yeah. Oh, and I bought some accessories and stuff like that. You know, I got the micro SD card. I got a 1 terabyte because, you know, got to have all the storage.
Yeah.
Which actually, it's pretty fast. It's not horrible. It's loading the games is you don't really notice it too much.
Yeah, I want to get a really good micro. I don't have a micro SD card in mind. I haven't had the need to because I uninstall. I play one thing at a time. I play something and then I uninstall it and install something else. I don't play multiple things on it, and so I haven't felt the need to. But I would like to figure out what the best SD card per performance, but that's not extremely expensive, but doesn't necessarily need to be the cheapest. But like, what is the best performance SD card for the Steam Deck? And you and I were doing a little bit of research back and forth.
Yeah.
Whenever you were looking at your Steam SD card, and that would be if we could kind of figure out like, oh, this is the one. That would be kind of neat if we could, you know, somehow like link that in the show notes or something like that. But
yeah. I mean, the thing is like I think you're kind of limited because it's a micro SD card. It seems like the regular size SD cards have faster speeds. Obviously, probably because they're bigger, there must be some sort of, you know, extra circuitry they can put in there. But the one I got seems to be, as far as the stats go, the fastest you can possibly get.
Yeah, I think when we were looking at it, the disadvantage to yours is the installation time because it has to write to it. But then reading it, it's fast. So, and who cares? You install a game once.
That's the thing. Yeah. I think it's like 30 megabytes a second for the write speed. So, I mean, you know.
That seems like the best trade-off out of all of them, though. You know, because you only do that one time, so it's not really that big of a deal.
So then I got a docking station. I did not get the official docking station because I've heard stories about it not being that great. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I mean, most of the people say it's fine, but I've heard a couple that were like, I don't know. Yeah. So I got a, let me see here. I think I have it.
I have my work laptop, like the one the company gave me, came with a Lenovo SD like docking station thing.
Right.
I just use that.
Oh, nice. I got
any
the Anchor.
USB-C will work.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But I got the Anchor. It says it's meant for Steam Deck and all that stuff. I think it's the only one by Anchor that they make that's like in this form factor, but it works great. I haven't had any issues with it. It works on my TV, you know, all that jazz. So
now, whenever you use it, I see they made this specifically for. Oh, that's really nice. It's only $29.99.
Yeah, it was really cheap. So I was like, I don't know. But then I saw that it was like pretty much all aluminum, and I was like, that's pretty nice.
No, yeah, this looks good. I'll definitely keep this in the show notes. This is a good one. I forgot my train. Whenever I used it on my television, I did see a performance difference if I increased the resolution.
Yes.
I actually have not tried it on the OLED yet, though.
So my TV is only 43 inches. I mean, it's not, you know, huge. Yeah. It's not like a 65 inch or anything like that.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you one thing. The games look pretty freaking good at 720p. Like to be honest, can't really tell much of a difference. Especially from sitting as far back as I do. I mean, I could use it on the TV, no problem. Now, obviously, bumping it up is going to be a problem. But
we played Stray on it, and my wife and my son didn't. I mean, to them at that time, we didn't have a console, so it kind of was our console,
right?
And to them, that's what console gaming was. They didn't know the difference because they weren't used to it. I would rather have. I played the same game on my desktop because comparing my desktop monitor to the TV on 720, I could feel the difference. That's another game that runs great on the Steam Deck, though. By the way, is Stray. If you haven't played Stray yet, and a really good game. But yeah, on the television, I think we had to run it at 720 to get good performance. It depends on the game. You know, there's some games
especially
that
if it's 3D. If it's 3D game, you pretty much have to have it on 720.
Yeah, it depends on the game. That's one of the downsides to this handheld, but it's buy this device because you want a handheld, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But the docking station's also useful because for games that you need a desktop mode to install it, you use the docking station to get to desktop mode and to use a mouse and keyboard and monitor. And, you know, we talked about before, we could run the podcast from the Steam Deck using the desktop mode, which is still a good idea. We still need to do that at some point. We need to go to some con or something where we stream, from the convention on a Steam Deck
at like 480p because the conference has so many people there
because of the convention center's Wi-Fi. Right, exactly. All right, I'm sorry I interrupted you there.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So then the next thing I got was these like grips. They're like sticker grips, so it's not like a case.
Oh yeah,
I did see a really nice case, like Skull & Co. I think makes it, but you have to buy another like case for the Steam Deck.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't fit in the original case that comes with the Steam Deck.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't want to do that, even though it looked really good. I just got these sticker grips, and I put them on everything except for the palm rests.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm getting the next thing, which is a skin.
I just clicked on it. Yeah,
for the Steam Deck.
Crazy looking,
and I thought it looked pretty cool. It's like molten magma that's like kind of hardening, so it's got if you could picture that.
It reminds me of the World of Warcraft expansion with the big dragon. I can't remember molten.
The
molten core or something.
Yep. So it's kind of like that. So I'm gonna wait to put the wrist or the palm grips on until I get that, so I can put that over top. And then I got a screen protector as well. I got the anti-glare one because I got the 512 gig, so it doesn't have the anti-glare screen. So I got the anti-glare.
I got this exact. I think this is the exact same one I got. Yeah,
and it was great. Like it was the best screen protector experience I ever had because it had a guide, and I literally just slapped it right on. Like there was no like, oh my gosh, I got it kind of crooked and all that stuff. None of that. It was awesome.
Yeah, it has a little thing. It has a little frame that you put on.
Yep.
I think I got this exact one, and mine is anti-glare, and it's got like kind of a matte finish.
Yeah, it's kind of like a matte finish. You can kind of notice it, but it's really not. It's not that noticeable. The anti-glare is much more worth it than noticing that little bit of a matte finish. But yeah, that's all the accessories I got so far.
Yeah, cool. We'll leave that link in the show notes. I've seen videos of people that actually do they sell clear cases, but you have to do a case swap of the entire thing. They have some that's just the back, and the back is easy to swap. Yeah. But there's some where you have to take everything apart and put it back together in a new case. Mm-hmm. And again,
no, thank you.
I'm not brave enough to do. I might would have tried that on the other one that was a little cheaper. I might would have tried that if I still had it, but I had to sell it to buy this one. They
actually have a skin that is a replica of the inside of the Steam Deck. Yeah. And it looks just like if you had a clear case.
That would be safer.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad you got one. I think we're going to do more Steam Deck material on the show now because of it. You've inspired me. I'm going to charge mine up and make sure I use it more.
I might as well just Yeah, and you can
mine,
tell it's the OLED because it's got the orange button.
See, I don't even see mine right now.
But yeah, see, you can see. I mean, obviously the podcast is going to see this, but you can see the grips I have on all the buttons and stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
And we got the little orange power button. That's the OLED.
Yeah, that's how you know it's the OLED. Like if someone tries to sell you the original one saying it's an OLED, you know because of the power button.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, they swapped that out, which that's really devious.
I was going to say they might just swap the power button out,
or just paint it. You know, people are too lazy. They'll just paint it.
It'll rub off. All right, so Microsoft drama. Who would have ever thought that a Linux podcast would have Microsoft drama to talk about?
Microsoft.
What a world do we live in? For a while, everybody's opinion kind of started to shift on Microsoft because they were all like, "Oh, we're going to be friends with Linux now. Like we're gonna, we want to invite those developers and those people in." So we've changed.
They still
heart
Linux according to what they say.
There's plenty. I think there are plenty of people at Microsoft that do, and I think the mood has changed. But this news story is maybe a reminder to all of us in the Linux community that maybe we had kind of decided, what's it going to hurt if I install Windows? They got the subsystem for whatever it's called.
Windows subsystem for Linux.
Yeah, they've got the whole. It's so backwards the way it's worded.
I know.
We might as well all go along with the new world order. I'm being facetious. So this news story may be a a reminder as to why we like to use an operating system where we get to control what's under the hood, and we're tinkerers. We enjoy this type of customization. And this is a reminder as to what you lose in the way of customization and the way of control by using something like Microsoft Windows. So back in June, Microsoft said that they were rolling out this feature, Recall, and it was going to be an opt-in feature. So Recall, I guess we should explain what Recall is in case you don't know. It is an AI feature that I'm kind of confused as what it's useful for, but it takes snapshots and keeps a history of what you're doing on your PC so that you can then use an AI search tool to recall things from your previous use cases.
Like, when did I, write that report or whatever? And it'll go back to where it thinks you wrote that report. Or whatever. What
did I do with that tax document from last year?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that I would ever forget the drama surrounding the situation. Yeah. I just don't think this is a feature that I would actually find useful. What did I do yesterday on my PC? Please, Copilot. Can you tell me what I did yesterday? I forgot because I'm a moron and I forgot what I was doing on my PC. I don't understand what this is useful for.
And I feel like if it's that specific or that niche of a thing that you need to remember, the AI is not going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I gotta say, recently I've been really impressed with ChatGPT and the way that you can just talk to AI and get things from it. For another podcast that I do where we discuss we discuss books.
Yeah,
I needed ChatGPT to write me a description of what happened in specific chapters of a book.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's great at that.
I had never read past that, so I didn't want it to spoil anything. And so I said, give me a synopsis of chapters 1 through 7. And then we use that to read in the intro of the podcast. And it did a great job. It's something. And I was like, how does it knows every book in existence and also what happened in the book, the storyline. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, for that kind of stuff, it's great. I mean, but
I could never imagine a scenario where I'd be like, what did I do yesterday?
what distro did I install?
what did I do with that report that I wrote yesterday?
You idiot. This is Linux. This isn't Windows. I don't get. Why are you asking me?
Yeah, I don't get how this is useful. But in any case, apparently it is enough so that this is the hot new feature that they were rolling out in June. And it was intended for their Copilot Plus PCs specifically,
but it wasn't initially clear that it was like that. They had to clarify.
It was available to be installed on even non-Copilot PCs,
right?
And let's see, take a snapshot. Oh, and the snapshots. So that was the first drama surrounding this. Was people were like, "Oh, you're taking snapshots of everything I'm doing on my computer." So if I am logging into my bank account, there's screenshots now of my bank account on my hard drive. And where does this go? Is this stored somewhere within Microsoft's servers somewhere? Like, what are they doing? Does telemetry report this back to Microsoft? And Microsoft came back and they said, all the snapshots are stored on your PC locally, and it's fully secure, and you don't need to worry about any of that. Don't worry about it. Look the other way now. Don't worry about it.
Don't ask us. It'll be fine. Just keep.
Well, there were people that found that you could find the screenshots on the PC. They were stored in some sort of database, and I think it was virtualized, but it wasn't encrypted, so you could find it and you could view it. And so then Microsoft came back and they said, well, we're going to make this an opt-in feature, meaning if you don't want it, you can not opt in for it. And then users actually found an uninstall. So you could actually go into Microsoft where you turn on features like .NET, things like that. You could turn it off there, and then it would uninstall the feature. Well, Microsoft came back after the community said, "Oh, well, it kind of sucks that they're giving us this feature that we didn't really ask for, and we don't know what it's useful for, and it's storing all this, data on our PCs unencrypted, but at least we can uninstall it, Yeah. Well, Microsoft came back and said, "Oh, oops. That's actually a bug. We didn't intend for it to be uninstallable, just opt-outable." but we still want the feature to be there and to be part of your PC. And so that actually was a mistake, and they're no longer going to make that uninstallable in the future. And the other thing about the opt out, so you can say, well, I'll just make sure that I won't opt into it whenever I do the install. Well, opting out just means that you're opting out of the like picture storage and certain features of it, but that is still installed on your operating. It's still a part of your.
It's just not actually doing anything.
Right.
The process
and even if
is
it's not
probably there.
Even if it's not running, again, going back to if we're thinking they're not being malicious with this, or even so, at best, it's not malicious, but it could be unsecure and something that you don't want on your PC. You don't have the option to not have it on your PC, even if it's not running, even if it's just on your. You just don't have the option to not have it. You know.
And I mean, my whole take on it is like, if someone compromises your computer, it's not just like they have your data. They have everything you've ever done for however long back it stores it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like step by step what you've done.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, I have to fumble around and find things and all this crap, you know.
Right. So there was a report that came out. What article did I link here in the show notes? Oh, it was according to The Verge. So in The Verge, they describe the changes that Microsoft made to the feature. So it was supposed to come out in June. Well, they postponed it because
Microsoft postponed something. No.
Yeah, because of the community outcry about it and the responses they were getting, they postponed it. Well, they did increase the security of it. The snapshots are stored locally and are now encrypted because they weren't before. Because
they're encrypted.
Right. So now they've encrypted them, and the keys to the encryption are stored in your TPM chip. So it's not actually passed to the OS because it's at a TPM level.
Right.
And the virtualized database of these items is in your OS, but you can't unencrypt it unless you get that key from the TPM chip.
Man, talk about layers of abstraction there. You know, like, holy crap.
I actually don't think... I think if you were going to secure this, I think this is probably the best way they can do it. The thing the thing I don't like about this is the option to not have it, and also the fact that they probably weren't going to do this extra security if they hadn't gotten pushback. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah, so
we don't know that for sure. But so the TPM chip doesn't actually give the key to the OS, unless you have a biometric login. So it has to either use your face or a fingerprint to log into the device.
So is this like normal Microsoft crap where like if you don't have a bio something to unlock it, it will just do it in plain text?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was in plain text before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like if you don't have some sort of fingerprint or face unlock or something like that, will it just be like, okay, well then I'm not going to use the encryption? I don't know this for sure. There's been things like that before where it's just like, I'm just not going to use the encryption now.
I'm only basing this off of what I read in The Verge, not from what I got.
Right.
But based on what I read in The Verge article, I don't think you can opt into this feature unless you turn on biometrics. Like part of the opt-in process is
so
you also
it's either
set
you
up
have
biometrics.
It on with biometrics or you have it off for any other circumstance.
I don't even think The Verge. I don't even think The Verge explicitly says that, but reading it, and I'm not looking at it right now. Reading it, that I believe that's the way they described it. And also, they're saying now that it is only going to roll out on Copilot Plus PCs, and that they're not going to make it available to be side-loaded or installed on non-Copilot Plus PCs. Of course, we'll have to wait and see if that's actually accurate. But according to them, that's what they're saying. But here's the thing about that is that article was from more than 13 days ago, because it was sometime last month, and it's the 13th of the month now. I think it was from like 15 or 16 days ago. Chris Titus Tech, you found this video and sent it to me. Chris Titus has a really cool, I didn't know about it until watching this video, but it's a really cool, he has like a slimmed down, minimized version of Microsoft Windows that you can install that it gets rid of all the extra bloat like this.
Yeah, it's like a debloat tool, basically.
Yeah, and he's having to change his tool because it's becoming a requirement for the file explorer, right?
Yes.
To use this feature. This feature has to be on or in some way installed as
so like if this is not installed, File Explorer just won't work.
So we're questioning, I think not you and I, but the community in general is questioning, is this really not going to be on non-Copilot PCs? How are they going to or are they going to clear this dependency, or is this dependency still going to be present?
According to him, this is happening on his test machines that are not AI at all.
Yeah.
Like this is happening. Then this is for Windows 11, 24. I think it's 24H2, I think. Whatever the next version of Windows is. That's what is happening now, because he's on like the preview version, so he can test his builds.
Yeah, 24H2 on 24. But what I'm questioning is, if I'm just trying to give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt, which heaven forbid scold me in the chat, like maybe 24H2 still has this dependency, but based on what they're saying in this Verge article, maybe there's a future change that's planning to remove that dependency. I don't know.
And maybe it can't be used on non-AI, quote unquote,
but
AI
the dependency
computers
of it being installed is still there.
Right, but the dependency, right.
Yeah.
But I see that's the thing that gets me is like, unless they tie in the GPU, I don't see how they're going to be able to do this on a regular CPU without a neural processor.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a mess. I want nothing to do with it at all, to be honest, because it just kind of it gives people too much insight into what you've been doing, regardless of what it is. You know, it's just ridiculous that someone could go into your computer and somehow get your biometrics and all this stuff, and then be able to see literally every step you've ever done for the past 30 days or whatever.
Well, how do you feel? I'm asking you just to hear your side of it.
Yeah.
How do you feel if you can opt out of this? It doesn't collect anything. It's just installed on your PC. It's not running. How would you feel about it in that situation? Because that's the claim. That's the claim from Microsoft, is that you can just turn it off and just forget about it.
And that's 90% of Windows is like that. The features are there. You just have them turned off.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've done this for years and years. That's just how we've rolled with Windows if we use it. And I don't think it's going to change many people's opinions, but for me, it's like at some point, this AI stuff, if it keeps rolling as it's going, is going to be in everything. So at some point, this is going to be on your computer, because you have the capability of it is going to be on your computer if it needs to be tied into AI. And I just don't want to deal with that being on there at all, because that's like I said, it's too invasive for me. I mean, I know there's so many security flaws with Windows, it's not even funny, but like that's another level of invasive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that opinion. I'm not so worried about the evasiveness of it, but more of the way they handled this situation, where it's like, oh, don't worry, it's going to be opt out, and then well, maybe it's not opt out, but you can uninstall it. Oh, well, actually, you can't uninstall it, but we're only going to put it on Copilot PCs. Like, to me, it's just I don't know how to describe it. Before the show, we were talking about how like Linux users are like the people that want to have like a hot rod. You and I are both also car guys.
Yeah.
So running Linux is like being a car guy, that you've got this hot ride and you want to, adjust and tinker and change every part of it and it be customizable, where running Windows feels more like you bought a Accord and it's just got to get you to work and back, and you really don't care how it works or why it works, just that it does. And in the scenario where, like, when it comes to those two cars, there's no change. Whenever you buy a Honda Accord, it's a Honda Accord forever. There's no software update that's going to change anything. Whereas, like, whenever you have your desktop PC, it's like, well, tomorrow I could get an update from Microsoft where all of a sudden now I'm required to have this feature installed. And even if I have to turn it off, it means that it's going to bug me about, are you sure you want to turn this feature off? Like, we don't know, man.
Oh, yeah, that's the
really
other thing.
Like it. And this is just another example of just one of those nagging software, nagware, and I
mean, at this point, what Microsoft needs to do for me to even remotely like want to care about Windows at all, they need to release a version of Windows that has all this crap stripped out of it, and just has the basics to run an OS. Like I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that would still be in that because there's dependencies and all this crap, but with people like Chris Titus that can strip all this stuff out, why can't Microsoft just release a version of Windows that has all that crap stripped out?
A developer version because everybody would use it and nobody would use their stupid AI features.
Well, so that's
why everybody would want that version. Nobody wants the naggy version.
I agree with you, but I really believe that most people wouldn't even know that existed. Like people would just be like, Windows is installed on my PC, whatever version is there, that's it.
Yeah.
It would just be the nerds that like would go out and get that version, because obviously the nerds are the one that are going out to get the version that Chris Titus has. So,
which we should give a plug to that, but I didn't know it existed until this video, so I can't vouch for it myself.
Yeah, I kind of noticed, but to be honest, I don't. You got to kind of like, it's like you're kind of standing on a pivot point, and if you do anything wrong, this whole system can crash because.
Oh, really?
It's just I've done this before where I stripped a lot of crap out of Windows, and it gets really
it
sketchy.
Can get really hairy.
Yeah, because Windows just doesn't like certain things to be removed.
Well, I remember back in the XP days, there was it was called like XP Pirate Edition or something like that. Like,
of course,
there was a version of XP that just stripped everything out that was unnecessary.
I'm sure that worked great because XP was awesome.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, and I think there might have even been a Windows 7 version, but I haven't. But since then, I haven't seen anything like that. And
it's just becoming so hard to do it that
So his project's called MicroWin. So if you're looking for this sort of thing, I think you and I, this is a sign that we're kind of gonna dig harder into our Linux roots and not try to have a stripped down version of Windows. But if you are looking for that for whatever reason, I think you should check his project out. And I know that he has videos on both. He does a lot of Linux videos and EverQuest. Funny enough, he's an EverQuest player, which is great. I'm an old school MMO fan myself. We need to get him on the show just so we can talk about old school MMOs. I won't even talk about.
We don't care about your Windows stuff. We just want you here for EverQuest.
but I don't know. To me, this is just this has encouraged me to. I want to build a bulletproof Arch install. So I want to make an Arch installation where everything on my desktop is tailor-made, specifically curated for my use case.
Yep.
And that is our future Arch project that we talked about last night, and we're going to do as part of the show. We're going to install Arch, which whoop-de-doo. We've installed Arch before. Lots of Linux podcasts have installed Arch and talked about it. We want to take every choice that you make during the Arch installation, and the majority of the choices you make are after the installation process. Every Arch install video is like, here's how you install Arch. And it's for good reason. It used to be super hard. It's a lot easier now than it used to be, but it used to be like you had to go through every single step, and now there's a scripted installer. You can just make the choices.
That's actually really nice.
It's a huge improvement. I don't even remember how to do it the old way. But we're going to go through and we're going to document each choice that we made and really study and make a decision why we're making that choice and talk about it on the show. Yeah. And then after everything's installed, building our desktop. What are the features that are important to us? What applications do we need to install to make those features? All of that. And so,
because the thing,
we're excited to start that.
Yeah, I agree. The thing for me is how everything looks and works together looks wise, because a lot of times I have issues with Debian or Arch or the ones that are very bare bones is not all the applications look right. Like things are just not quite right. You know what I'm saying? They'll be the mouse won't be quite right on this application because of, it's using the Adwaita, cursor versus the KDE cursor or whatever, little things like that. And that's the kind of stuff I want to get worked out, because
so we're going to we're gonna get on the show and we're gonna debate all these choices, right? So
Yeah.
I can already tell you there's a conflict because you said in the chat you wanted to do KDE Plasma, and I don't know if that's a choice I
can do GNOME. I can do GNOME. I've done it for years. I just have to have some extensions.
Yeah, that's true.
I require some extensions.
So and we don't have to make the same choices, but I think we need to discuss why we're making on. Like, one thing we talked about was file format. ext4. I told you, I just always choose ext4. That is just the gold standard,
right? And there's nothing wrong with it. There isn't.
Well, most of the time, unless it's virtualized at work, we choose a ext4 if it's a real flesh and bone server. And it's just like I just always have. Like, I don't know why. It is what it is. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to dive into that topic and say, what would the benefits be if I chose ButterFS? Or, what would I gain from doing that? What would I lose? And that sort of thing. So, and then I'll probably choose ext4, to be honest with you.
Oh, come on. You're not going to choose Riser FS?
Riser FS. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're gonna try to like really study these topics and talk about it. So look forward to that. And I'll tell you what will not be on my Arch installation.
Windows?
No form of AI NAG add-in. Do you want to try this new feature?
And I heard some pretty good AI terminal apps that'll help you out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. All right, I take it back. I do. There are a few things maybe, but it won't be like a pop-up asking me to be an advertisement. It'll be something I chose to put on there. That is something at work that, the new kids coming into where I work, they all use the Copilot AI assistant and all that. I don't know how to. So that is a skill that I need to learn. Some of it's impressive, the way they can whip up some Java out of nowhere, but I still just have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is Google. All right, so I want to talk about Silent Hill 2. Yeah. But before I get into it, last episode I talked about Alone in the Dark,
right?
And how I was having this grand, wholesome time playing Alone in the Dark with my son, and he was loving it. And he did love it, by the way. Even the part I'm about to tell you about, he had a blast, even though I was like, whoa, I don't know if you should see that. So I will tell any fathers out there that are playing Alone in the Dark with their kid, the whole game, 99% of the game, I think is pretty... you got to know your own kid, and it depends on how old he is and how mature. You got to know all these things. But for my son, I felt like it was pretty safe because, sure, you're violently killing zombies, but the zombies are not people zombies. They're plant. Yeah. They're like big plant zombies.
Okay.
And so in my mind, it's like we're not shooting like, it's not. I wouldn't play Left 4 Dead in front of him. He's not quite mature enough for that yet because they still look like people. But this game takes a hard twist at the very end, and I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. As a player, not playing it with my kid, I loved it. I thought it was one of the best. Like, it's just such a like left turn out of nowhere. Like, where did this come from? Ending that I was blown away by it. But there's a conclusion to the game. There's like a final boss fight, and then the story kind of concludes, and it's the end of chapter 4, I think. And it's like, okay, that was a great game. That was the end, right? Well, no, that rolls over. There's another chapter.
Oh boy.
But I will tell you, if you're playing with your kids, just stop there and finish the rest after they go to bed, because after that, everything just gets twisted like in a wild way. And again, I can't spoil anything, but it was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Close your eyes.
It was too late. The damage is done. I don't know.
Question is, has he had nightmares?
No, but like today we're driving to Greenville to go return something at the mall, and my mom rode with us, and I told Elliot, I said, tell my mom about Alone in the Dark.
Oh,
and
no.
He was like, oh my gosh, and he only brought up the violent parts.
Of course, I mean,
Yeah. So advice there. Stop at the end of chapter 4. But as a review, it was great. I loved the game. I don't know what it gets on. What does it get on Metacritic? We looked up Metacritic for Silent Hill 2.
I don't know. I didn't look for that one.
Let me look and see what it gives it, because I feel like it's not getting like. Oh, it has a 63. It has a 63. It's got a pretty poor score. I actually think it is much better than that. That's lower than I would have expected. I thought it would have been maybe in the high 70s. You know, like it's not like the best game ever, but it is. It's really familiar. It feels like the original Alone in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Only it is a different. It's a new storyline and everything, but it feels the same. And it's really good. And the ending is wild.
The user score is a little higher. It's 7.4.
7.4
for the.
Yeah, that's probably right. Out of 10. Yeah, that's probably right. Anyway, Silent Hill 2. So I've been waiting on this game to come out for basically since since we first started getting clues about it a few years ago.
Yeah, I think you've been mentioning it on the show off and on, like when you get like little drip feeds of
whenever anything new comes out. Yeah, they did the transmission a few months ago. Several months ago. And I bought a PlayStation 5 just for Silent Hill 2. The only reason why I even bought a PlayStation 5 was because of Silent Hill 2. And I ended up getting the game on PC. But at the time...
That's great.
At the time, I thought it was only going to be released on PlayStation because all previous Silent Hill games were released first on PlayStation and then years later came out on Xbox.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then PC even. But like they're usually a PlayStation exclusive for some time period.
Yeah.
But not this time.
They are
you can get it on Steam. Yep, you can get it on Steam. I think you can get it on Xbox. I'm not sure. But you can get it on PlayStation or Steam. And I got it on Steam, and I'm glad that I did. The game looks fantastic, and it runs great on my PC. It's very well, for a game that is this modern and looks so well, it's very well optimized. Is it like the Resident Evil 2 remake where it's like a pretty much a bit for bit recreation just with new graphics? So in the same way, so the Resident Evil remakes are also the same way, where they're like a little different, but they hit the same beats, is what I would say. So, like especially Silent Hill, but it's also true for Resident Evil. Mm-hmm. The layout of the game, the geography of the game, I would say, is different, but it hits the same beats as far as like this puzzle is so similar to the original puzzle that if you didn't just recently play the original, you probably would think it's the same puzzle. Like it's really similar.
Okay.
And I thought they did. So the Bloober team is the company that developed this, and they made. We just talked about one of those games when I was doing the rapid fire for the Steam Deck. I'm looking through my list now, trying to see the name. Medium is the game. They did some other games, but if you play the game Medium, one of the things that would strike you is that, this is similar to Silent Hill. Okay. And the company has often said like an influence of theirs in a big way is Silent Hill. So it's kind of like it's almost like how Baldur's Gate 3 got to be made by Larian Studios, who was like already fans of D&D and of that franchise.
Right.
Like this is almost like one of those, like, just
so they put a little bit of their love into the game.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And they were fans of it. They wanted to do it right. They wanted to do something that they would want to see as a fan, and that would still strike, true to the blood of the original game. And I think they were extremely successful. I think the game feels like the original Silent Hill 2, like in a huge way. It feels so similar. It's a really good job. It's like I said, it hits the same notes, but there are differences. So just a quick question, would you say, like, if I were to just pick it up right now, would it be this is a good question.
Fine to just play, like, without playing the first one at all?
Yeah.
Like, even though it's the same game, just like, is it that much different or no?
That's a good question. So I think the question is it still a good game if you didn't play the original? Like, is it nostalgia that's carrying this all the way through? That is a really good question. Let me go back and touch on. That, because that deals with the review that I wanted to go over.
Gotcha.
Which I don't know if we're going to have time. We might have to cut that short. So I think it hints at a cyclical story. So if you play the game, all the puzzles are similar. Actually, I take that back. There's a lot of new puzzles. There's a whole bunch of puzzles that were not in the original game.
So they added some stuff. That's nice.
But they're very similar to puzzles that would be in the original game. Silent Hill's.
They're not out of place.
Yeah, Silent Hill is like almost like dream logic. Like there's like a weirdness to it. Like why is James trying to fix this record player to get a key? Who put the key in the record player in the first place?
Idiot.
Why was that the best place to put the key? Who designed this hospital and said, you know what would be really good is if we put this key in this safe and then that safe is in a room and we'll write numbers on the walls. And, like who designed all this? Just have a key box with one lock, and then you just got to find that one lock, and then you have the rest of the keys. But all these games are kind of made in that vein. And they do a really good job of like the puzzles that are from the original game are like just different enough that they feel new. But then also the new puzzles feel like they belong in the game. But they hinting at the cyclical cycle. So they have a thing that they call glimpses of the past. And as you're playing the game, every once in a while, you'll get a scene or an object or something that is definitely from the original Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
And James will look at it and you get like an achievement, like glimpse of the past. And sometimes it's like a puzzle that James would have had to solve in the first Silent Hill 2, and it's solved in the glimpse. So it's almost like you're seeing, the whole plot line of Silent Hill 2, which I guess light spoilers here. It's all like cerebral. It's all taking place like in the mind of James or in his psyche somehow. Or his psyche is projected on the world somehow. It's some kind of weird purgatory state.
Right.
And the game never really says officially. And there's like a ton of videos on YouTube of,
like
fan
deep
theories
dives into like what's actually going on.
And I love all that stuff. Like the other day I found a 4-hour video on one, and I told my wife, I said, you won't believe this video is 4 hours and I will watch every minute of it. But so it gives you this idea that what if this is just a cycle? Silent Hill 2, the original, was one cycle of James's purgatory. And this is now another cycle of that same purgatory, which in a way gives credence to the original copy of the game. Like it kind of makes the original copy, like now the original copy of the game is still valid.
Yeah.
Because it's just a different cycle. So that's my current rolling fan theory of what the glimpses of the past mean. But I love that. I just love that they did that. Like Bloober Team, like
that sounds really cool.
Yeah. So I talked about how the puzzles were similar. If you're not looking closely, you'd think they're the same. Oh, the combat is the most different thing. So compared to the original Silent Hill, it's kind of like the original Resident Evil in that you really are kind of designed, just run past the zombies. Like they're not the key focus of the game,
Right.
You're going to run out of ammo if you try to shoot them all. In the original game and in this game, James has like either a stick or a pipe that he can hit the zombies with. You're kind of better off doing that than wasting ammo.
Just poke them with a stick.
Yeah, exactly. The combat was never the focus of the original game. And whenever the trailers came out for this version of the game, a lot of the community was nervous about, is this going to turn into what some of the Resident Evil remakes did, where it's just
just all shooting.
Yeah, it's just all action, and it's just going to be like, you solve puzzles, but it's mostly just, an action packed,
35 zombies running at you, and you got to kill them all.
And in a way, it makes sense for Jill Valentine. She's like a trained professional, but James is just some guy. James is supposed to be like just and like an everyman, like if you or I got into the situation that James is in, we would be the same way. Like he's not a trained killer,
Right, exactly.
He's not Chris Redfield. But that I got to say, I really enjoy the new intense combat because it's scary and scrappy. You don't feel like you have the upper hand. You feel a sense of dread. Like every room
encounter.
Yeah, every room. I'm so nervous if there's one of these things in there because I'm at a point now where I have health stacked up. I haven't gotten all the way through it, by the way. I'm at the hospital, but I'm at a point now where I have health stacked up. But at the first part of the game, going through the apartment, and then you kind of go through this like sideways universe versions of the apartment, which other Silent Hills use this sideways universe thing a lot more than Silent Hill 2 did.
Okay.
And Bloober Team's version of the game puts that in a lot more. And it feels different than Silent Hill 2, the original.
Okay.
But it doesn't feel out of place because it's something that's established in the other Silent Hill games.
So it's definitely not taking you out of the game because you already
and it's
know
not
it's
that,
kind of there.
Right. And it's not that the original Silent Hill 2 didn't touch on it. It just wasn't the way it was in other Silent Hill games and in the movie. the movie really leaned heavily on it, which I like the movie, and a lot of people hate the movie. But the combat is much more intense, and like things like the health potions. He doesn't have potions, but the health bottles and the ammo, all that stuff really mattered, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm getting to a point now where I'm starting to stockpile some stuff.
Yeah, you're
and
like getting ready for
better.
that real battle.
Yeah. And there's a dodge mechanic. There wasn't a dodge mechanic in the first one.
Oh yeah.
And dude,
that's like okay, I'm gonna say right here. That's like one of the best things that they've ever incorporated into games nowadays is the
dodging
dodge
and blocking
mechanic, because back in the day there was no dodging. You were lucky to even be able to turn around in time.
Yeah. The dodge mechanic in the game. So in Silent Hill 2, you fight everything that you fight is like these creepy, like they're zombie-esque, but they're not really zombies.
Right. See, I always thought Silent Hill was zombies, but
it's not really zombies. It's
Right.
kind of like to be honest, it's again like light spoilers, but like it's projections from James's psyche, and they signify things like dread or guilt or like sexual tension. There's a lot of sexual tension stuff, which is kind of funny, but it's a part of James's story. And there's this one particular zombie that has legs on both sides, so it's got legs as legs, but then there's no torso, there's no head. It's just another set of legs.
Yeah. Okay.
And these things, the creepiest thing about them is they will like crouch and hide.
Oh,
and they won't come out and get you until you come around the corner and see them. Even when you see them, they won't move. And it's almost like whenever you see like a spider or a snake or something that's like in the corner.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, I don't want to go mess. I don't want to go mess with that thing. Like, dude, they're the creepiest things. They scare me more than anything in the game. Like whenever they're just like creeping behind a desk or something, and then I see them there, and I know that I've got to go over there, and I'm like, oh crap, I'll try to shoot it first, and then shoot it to get it to stand up. And the dodge mechanic is like it's like a boxing match. Basically, you like hit, and then on the fourth hit, James will kind of hesitate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you see that hesitation, you got to dodge.
Right.
Or, if you see them about to kick you with their arm leg, you got to dodge. It feels like a boxing game all of a sudden. It's
now, does
it's
that
intense.
feel okay? Or is that like...
I like it.
Okay,
I like it. Because again, Chris Redfield would come in with an M16 and blow them all down and throw a grenade over there.
Yeah.
It's not that. This is an act of desperation, and the voice acting is so good.
Okay,
the voice actor that voices James is like, he's
Top
out
tier.
of breath. You could tell like whenever you hit, so you got to keep hitting them to make sure they're dead. Similar to Resident Evil, where they can get back up.
Right.
The first, second, third strike after they're already on the ground, James just sounds like he's in such desperation. Like he's just like so over this and just trying to get out. Yeah, it's really good. I like the combat. It is way more intense than the original game, but I like it. It's good. I talked about the health and ammo. I feel like the health and ammo balance is kind of scarce in the beginning, or maybe I'm just better at the game now that I've played it more, so I'm not using it as much. But for the first part of the game, it felt like every time I picked up a thing of ammo, I needed it, and every time I picked up a health, I used it immediately because I needed it.
Right.
It's only been recently that I've been able to stockpile some. And one thing that I love about survival horror that has gone away is having to save your game versus having auto saves. In this game, just like in the original game, you only get to save your game whenever you go up to this little red shining square thing. And it's only in certain places of the game. And they put it in kind of milestones where like you've made it, through one leg of the hospital, then you get to the one of the saves points.
Right.
Or it'll be like in a central location that you can go back to a lot. But I like having to save your game, because there's been times where I've been playing the game and I've needed to go do something else, or I've needed to, step away, but I'm like, I can't, because I got to get to a save point, or I've got to get back to my save point. And I think that it makes it more of a like I don't just pick this game up and play it for 5 minutes and put it back down.
Right.
Like I know that when I play this, I have to try to get through a chapter, because I've got to try to make it to that next save, or make enough progress and then make it back, or whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to get myself in a situation where I can't go back.
Right.
And then I've got to keep going to get to the next save. That happens.
Are the saves pretty obvious? Like, do you know when the game is saved? Because that's one thing I can't stand is when
the
you're
game
like,
saves when you save the game. There, you open the menu and save the game.
Save the game. Okay, I was confused. I was thinking that you had to go somewhere to save the game.
Yeah, no, there's no autosave. So I can't say there's no autosaves. I have found one place where I had a checkpoint kind of thing. But
I get what you're saying now. Okay.
As a general rule, there's no checkpoints, there's no autosaves. It's just like Resident Evil where you got the typewriters. And even in the original Resident Evil where you had so many ink ribbons, you can only save so many times. But this is not that extreme. You just have essentially typewriters. You have to go to the typewriter and save your game.
You can save as much as you want, but you have to go to the typewriter and save it. Okay.
Yeah.
That I like that mechanic. I don't like when you only have so many saves, like you said, like the ink ribbons or whatever, because like
it depends on the game. I kind of like it in some cases. I feel like I would be so frustrated playing this version of Silent Hill 2 if I had ink ribbons. I can only save so many times. Yeah, I would be so frustrated because I have saved a ton. I've saved a whole lot.
Yeah. Like, holy crap, I just barely made it through there. Let me go save.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so man, I don't know if we've got time to go into the other person's review. So the Metacritic score for the game overall has an 86. The user score is a 9.3.
Wow.
It's universally acclaimed. And there's one like not super bad, but there's one bad review that is basically tanking the Metacritic score from 86 to 90 something. And that is this one review from someone that didn't play the original game.
Uh-oh.
And I wanted to read the article and we go through it, but I don't think we have time to do that. If people are interested, maybe we can do it next week. But even still, I don't know that we'll touch back on the subject next week. But I don't think his review is unfair. And it goes to your question where you said, is the game good for someone that is not just a super fan of Silent Hill 2? Which, by the way, I was always going to love this game unless it was horrible, and then I would hate it. But Silent Hill 2
had to meet certain criteria. As long as it met those certain criteria,
I was going to love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Silent Hill 2 is it's my favorite game of all time. But not only that, it's one of my favorite stories. Like, it's one of my favorite pieces of media of all time. Like, I love Silent Hill 2. I think it's such a fantastic. And here's the weird thing. I like the other games. I'm not as huge of a fan. Silent Hill 2 is its own bottle thing. Like, it's different than 1. It's different than 3.
Yes,
like,
you have said that before. Yeah.
Yeah. But looking at it from the outside looking in, if I was a game reviewer and I'm reviewing this game, I think this guy gave it too low of a score just because the mechanics, the puzzles, everything, built into it, the storyline being like, he says the characters are shallow, which is kind of true, but the characters are like, they are also in this like purgatory hell.
Okay.
And they have, they're kind of, it's not wrong.
Aren't they also projections of his mind? So therefore it wouldn't be like they had their own, like,
some of that is speculation. Some of the characters might be, but some of the characters are definitely in their own version of the same thing.
So it's
he's
more
going
of like
through.
The Matrix, for instance. Than
I'll give you an example of something that I saw before. I didn't catch this myself. I watched someone do a review, and he mentions this. One of the characters who dies. God, I don't know if I want to spoil anything, but
yeah,
I'll just say, like, light spoilers if you haven't played the new version, but if you haven't played Silent Hill 2 at all, one of the characters is like when he dies, he's in a freezer, right? Well, whenever he speaks in certain scenes, he has the frost breath.
Okay.
But other characters in the same scene don't show frost breath. And it could be, again, none of this is confirmed. A lot of the storyline is fan theory, but this could be because this is a projection of his psyche. His body is really in the freezer, Right. So like, there's all kinds of subtle things like that, and Bloober Team
like his mind is
good
like
at picking those up,
projecting that he's cold.
It's wild.
That's cool.
A lot of the deep stuff.
Sounds like a really good game. Like, to be honest, I never played 2. I played 1, but never played 2. So,
I played 2. Like, I never played any of them except for 2 for a long time. And then I went back and played 1, and eventually I played 3. But as a kid, somehow I got a copy of 2. I don't know who gave me a copy of
Yeah,
the
that's
game,
the
'cause
thing.
I was
It's
too
the
young.
same story with me. I got a copy of 1, but I don't know how. I don't know where it came
Yeah.
from. Like I don't know if I bought it from Best Buy or not.
I
Best
got
Buy,
it.
Blockbuster
I don't think
or
I
what.
got it when it first came out, but I got it like PlayStation 2 was still the current console.
Okay.
But I think I bought the game used at a GameStop or something. So I didn't get it when it was new, but it was still like the current console.
Okay.
But yeah, so this person's review is basically that the game, he's not interested in the characters. He's not motivated to go through the game. But if he were, going through the puzzles seemed to be pretty good. He's just not like sure why James is why is he going through these, but why is he doing these things? It seems like a labyrinthian way to, like I was joking about getting a key. Like it just seems like an obscure way to go through all this.
Yeah.
And then also he says the game is not beautiful, he says that it looks 10 years old. He said,
what?
He said something like, I have to give some credit to the developers because they took a 20-year-old game and made it look only 10 years old. I think that is a complete miss. Like the game definitely looks modern. I think what he is trying to strike on there is the game is not striking in a way that if you play Throne and Liberty and you're entered into this vast, land with these huge flying wells and, like there's none of that. It's just a gloomy, it's just a gloomy fog-filled town, but it's still a graphically beautiful game. And it's exactly what it's supposed to be. And if you have played the original game, it's a very beautiful portrait of what that game is.
I haven't even played the game, and what I saw of it looked really good. I mean,
and it's optimized so well. It runs so good. I mean, I have a really nice PC, but I can't run every game this well. Like I think I struggled, and I have a huge monitor, and a lot of games I struggle to run because I'm at such a high resolution. This game, like seriously, you would think I was playing at 1080p. Like it runs so well. It's very well optimized. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you've never played Silent Hill 2 before and you pick this up as a new game, I believe that if you like survival horror games, then you're going to enjoy this game. I think that your average, Call of Duty player, this game is not like that type of game. I don't know. I don't really know. It's hard for me to judge how somebody that has never experienced the franchise before would feel about this game. If you like Resident Evil and then you play this, I think that is a transition. If you played Resident Evil remakes, maybe you never played the original Resident Evils, or you never played any Silent Hill, you don't know anything about it, but you're just coming from Resident Evil remake to this game, I think you're going to have a great time and you're going to be impressed by the game. But I don't know how to compare it beyond that. I don't know.
Well, I think my favorite review of this game so far is, I don't know if it's my computer that translated this or what, but it's just a bunch of question marks and then a heart.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's a 10 out of 10. Bunch of question marks and a heart.
Yeah.
It's a little steep price for me. So
that is the thing.
I don't think I'm going to be picking it up anytime soon, but maybe once it gets down to
it is overpriced, man. I don't know why games are priced so dang high these days. I almost never buy a brand new game because $60-$70 is just too much.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean,
it's the I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy price.
They've always been overpriced, and now when things have gotten the way they have now, they're even more overpriced.
And people get through it faster too, man. Is the thing. Is like it used to be. You play a game and it would take you forever. I think the original Silent Hill 2 was a 6-hour game. This is like 18. It's a lot longer. But people are going to blow through it so fast because that's just how people do nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it, but yeah,
I'm not paying $70 for a game and then trying to rush through it over the weekend.
Yeah,
I'm taking my time and hitting strides,
Exactly.
But yeah, $70 for the base game on the PlayStation Store and on Steam.
Yeah, don't even get me started about the freaking the ultimate editions and all that's the bundled editions where it's like $200. It's like, what the heck?
They had one. I don't know what they have as far as physical bundles, but on Steam, there's one other level, and it was $10 more, and I think all you got was like you got some kind of special skins or something.
Oh, don't
for the characters.
That just irks me.
You got to play the game a few days early, and I don't know, doesn't seem worth it. Especially now. Now, are they still selling the $80 copy, even though the game's already out for everybody else? You know, like I'd be pissed.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they don't sell that copy anymore. Maybe it was only until the game officially launched.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Great game though. Great game. And I can't wait to see. They're supposed to be doing like this is supposed to be kind of a soft relaunch of the Silent Hill franchise, and it's well received. Like this was very well received.
So there's going to be more coming, basically.
I think so. I don't see how they could have gotten.
Okay,
I don't see how their expectations could have been higher. I mean, I think this was really well received. I expect they'll probably do remakes of the others, and choosing Silent Hill 2 as the one to start with is like crazy, but it makes sense because 1 and 3 are connected.
Okay.
But 2 is
kind of its own thing. 2 could have been 1, basically.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
1 could have been 2 and 3. Yeah. So that's probably why they're doing it.
Yeah, but I'm game for more, and I'm super excited for this Arch challenge that we're making. And I would have reinstalled Arch today if we didn't have to record this show.
I know, right?
I've got to edit it. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. And that's what I'm going to be researching and looking into after we get off here tonight. And we'll talk about in the next episode. So thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me ramble about Silent Hill 2 for way too long. And I've been waiting years for this to come out.
Dude,
so you got to give me one episode.
Talking about this. I get it.
Maybe if I find some good fan theories, then maybe I'll bring it up again. But
I'm sure there are.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace.
See ya.